Adding materials. In this video, we're going to start now organizing everything in our scene, as well as adding the materials that we need to add some colors and to our 3D geometry. So go ahead, bring the car, get the remote control out of the way. Take a look over your outliner and make sure that everything is labeled accordingly. So it seems that I have 2 additional groups that I don't need, so I will be deleting those. And once I've done that, what I want to do now is go into my top view. And with the joystick selected, go ahead and hit the letter D. Move it to about there, then hit the letter D again. And just by relocating that pivot point, now if we were to move this object, it would just move on the correct axis, just up and down. We'll do the same with the other joystick, the right joystick. Again, that's going to be selecting the move tool, hitting D to relocate the pivot point, and then hit D one more time. So I'll grab these 2, put them together, call it on-off switch, or actually just call it switch. And if you want to move anything within the group, remember just to click the middle mouse and hold to move. Okay. Delete whatever is not needed. Lastly, I'll select my control, delete by history, and freeze transformations. Let's go ahead and start adding some materials. The first thing we need to do is go into the hypershade. The hypershade will be located right over here. You can click and drag it just like so, and it will attach to your view panel. You may want to do that or you may not. Lots of options. But like I said, we are going to be creating some new materials. So we can go into the material list. Let's go ahead and create a fawn. Let's also create a blend. And for the fawn, we're gonna rename it Plastic Black Fawn. So I'm gonna go with select it. And here on the attributes, I can change the name. So Plastic Black Fawn. I'm gonna set the color, I would say about 80% black. Then go to the specular color, cosine power, change that to about maybe 22 or so. Maybe lower slightly the reflectivity. And then go to the blend. Let's rename this one Metal Blend. And we definitely want to keep this one grayish, in a grayish color. Maybe we'll bump it up a little bit. And lastly, we're going to create one more blend. And this one, we're going to call it a rubber black blend. Let's bring down the specular color, the eccentricity to about 0.25, and the specular roll-off, let's bring it down to about 0.60. Also make that about 80% black. Now we can actually start applying our new materials into our scene. Let's go ahead and apply the rubber black blend to our tires. So by selecting it, we can right click and assign material to selection. Get the remote control out of the way. To the rim, let's add the plastic black so that there's a difference there. And of course, we can adjust this slightly more if we needed to. And we can do so by maybe grabbing the, I would say the rubber. I will probably make it slightly lighter. Not that much light, but certainly lighter. Maybe just like so. Then the screw, we'll add the metal blend to it. The inner part, we can also add the plastic to that selection. Somewhere along those lines. Let's repeat the process with the other tire. Let's also add the plastic to the frame and to the bumper. We'll now add the plastic to the battery box and the metal to the screw top. Let's add the plastic to the inner hub. You can also do this technique where we just go through the outliner, and because we have correctly labeled our polygons, now we can type down the label, and once there, we can just apply the proper material. Add the metal to the axis, both of them. And also for this spring, we can actually add the plastic as well. Then we can select the coil and add the metal. I will add the plastic to this area. Well, actually, I think maybe the metal will look better. We can now go into the controller and also apply some of these materials, such as the plastic for the body of the controller. This piece will add the metal, and so for the screws we'll also add the metal texture to those. Alright, so we'll be selecting now this area and also adding the plastic to it. Same with this area, we'll make that plastic. Alright, and at the very top we'll add the plastic, and the antenna we'll probably add the metal. And same thing with the antenna of the car. Now we will add just temporary materials for the top cover of the car. So let's go ahead and create another font, and this one we can name it car font. Change the color of that to maybe, let's say, a red color, so that it looks different than the ones we've created. And we'll add lastly 3 different materials for the spoiler. One for this piece, maybe we do another font. We'll name this one spoiler font. Let's do A, and we'll select maybe a blue color. With this newly font selected created, go ahead and go into edit, duplicate, shading network. All right, and now I have this one we're gonna call font A2. We're gonna change the color yet one more time to, let's say, green. Done. We'll add that to the spoiler here. And then lastly, we'll duplicate this yet one more time by selecting it and then going into edit, duplicate, shading network, and let's change this color to a yellow. We'll do this one more time for the bottom spoiler. We'll call that spoiler font C. Don't forget to also add that material to the screws, the metal material. And of course, if you still feel that it might need readjustments, you can do so now. Very well. On our next video, we're going to be looking at how to manipulate now these newly created materials.